The Champions League round of 16 draw has been drawn, and we now know every team's route to the final, and we are going to talk about it. But before we get started, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and let me know your predictions for the rest of the tournament in the comments. I will be responding. Now, the first one we have to talk about is the big one: Real Madrid versus Manchester City. We knew this was going to happen. Every single year, it feels like we play Real Madrid in the Champions League knockout stages. And we've actually met 11 times since 2020. The only time we didn't play Real Madrid was the year where we lost to Chelsea in the final. But every other year, we have played them in a two-legged tie. And we've already played them once already in the league phase this year. This is a big, big chance for the likes of Haaland, Mbappe, Vinny, the big, big dogs of either team to really make a statement and send their team on the way to a good run in the Champions League. Now, who do I think is going to go through? I think City will go through, and you may say that's bias, but after watching Madrid this season, they're just not the Madrid of old without Toni Kroos, Modric. They got no control in that midfield at all. They rely too much on the star power up top, which may give them a chance in this tie. But I think with the second leg at the Etihad, I have Man City non-biasedly going through this tie. The second game we have to talk about is Bayern versus Atalanta. I think this will be more of a straightforward tie. I think Bayern will have too much for Atalanta, although Atalanta did well to come back and knock out Dortmund in the playoff round. I think Bayern are just going to have far too much quality, especially with how they're playing this year under company with Elise, Kane, and Luis Diaz as the front three. The numbers are just off the scale right now. Atalanta will obviously bring the energy in their home game. It seems to have a very good atmosphere there. But I think second leg again, being at Bayern, as long as Bayern don't get absolutely battered at Atalanta's ground, then I think it'll be quite straightforward for them. So yeah, I have Bayern going through. Next, we have a very interesting tie and a repeat of the Club World Cup final. PSG versus Chelsea. Now, neither of these teams are in great form right now, but if you had to ask me who I was going to have going through, I would say PSG. They have a far, far better squad all over the pitch, you could argue. But the one bit of hope I'd give Chelsea is that if PSG don't put the tie out of reach in the first leg, I think it's going to be a hell of a game at Stamford Bridge for the second leg. I think the atmosphere there would be great if there's sort of one or two goals in it. I think Chelsea could give that a real good go. But we'll have to see how the first leg plays out already. But I'm going to say PSG to go through. Now, Liverpool and Galatasaray is a much closer tie than it appears on the eye. And if you didn't know, Galatasaray actually beat Liverpool in the league phase 1-0 this season. So they've already showed that they can get past them. And they already have that one up for them. I think it will be, although Liverpool are probably the favourites, I do think it's going to be a difficult tie. It's going to be very competitive at both grounds. And I think Gala are a team that they have a lot of experience. They have very good players. And they could shock Liverpool here. And I'm actually going to predict Liverpool to get knocked out and send Galatasaray through. That's going to be my prediction for that one. Let me know if you agree down below. And we have to move on to the other side of the bracket, the much, much easier side of the draw, which Arsenal look like they've got quite a nice run. Now, their game is against Leverkusen, who haven't been great since they lost Xabi Alonso and Xhaka all those years ago. Wirtz now, everyone seems to have left that team. So for this, I see it again as a pretty straightforward. I could see Arsenal putting 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 6, 7 goals against this Leverkusen side over the two legs. But yeah, Arsenal do have an easy side of the draw, but you've got to say they did come top of the league phase, and so it is deserved that they get an easy draw. I think that's what it was brought in for, and it's paid off for them. So well done, Arsenal, I guess, for coming top and getting the easy side of the draw. Obviously, last year was a bit different. Liverpool, they finished top, but actually went out straight away to PSG. I think they got unlucky there. But this is an example of the league phase finishing higher, working well. I mean, who's to say Arsenal do go through, but they are heavy, heavy favourites to go through in this game. And whoever Arsenal most likely, but whoever goes through will then play the winner of Sporting versus Bodo. Now, I'm not going to act like I know loads about Sporting, or even Bodo for that matter, but Sporting did actually finish 7th in the league phase, and they did actually have a famous win against PSG in this tie, so they're no joke, and they're in there for a reason. And obviously Bodo Glimt, the shock of the tournament, they actually look like they can beat anyone. The first shock that they had was when they beat Man City. I think it was 3-1. And at the time, I, as a City fan, felt awful about losing to Bodo Glimt. But then they beat Atletico Madrid away. And then they knock Inter out in the playoffs over 2 legs, winning both legs. So this team are no joke. They're no joke at all. So I think this is also probably one that people won't really watch because it doesn't have the star quality in it as some of the other games that will be on at the same time. But this will be one to keep an eye out for. This could be a very entertaining leg. Moving on, Newcastle. Well, actually, before that, I actually will predict Bodo to go through. I think they can do it, and I want a bit of a fairy tale, and I want them to knock out Arsenal as well when they get through. So Bodo Glimt to go through for me there. Now, Newcastle Barca, they met in the league phase as well. Barcelona winning 2-1 at St James's Park. But this shapes up again to be a very, very exciting game. Now, the main talking point from this game, I feel, will be the Barca high line versus that Newcastle front three. However you want to look at it, it's pacey. And you know what Barca do. Barca are always, regardless of who they're playing or the state of the game, they're always going to run that high line. And the amount of times that the other team can get in behind them, I think Anthony Gordon and maybe Elanga or Harvey Barnes are really going to exploit this Barca team and give them a big, big chance of going through. But either way, I see this being a very high-scoring tie, goals from both teams, and a chance for, the likes of Yamal to really show that he's the best player in the world. So we'll have to see if the high line kills Barca yet again like it did against Inter last year. And then the final game, I'll predict Barca to go through that one. I think they'll have too much quality, to be honest. And the final game is Spurs versus Atletico Madrid. Now, this is one of those ties that I have no idea how it's going to go. Atletico very inconsistent at the moment. Sometimes they're putting goals past teams. Sometimes they can't get out of second gear. But again, they've got very good quality. And then on the other hand, Tottenham, they're in a relegation battle right now. It probably would benefit them to go out of the Champions League as soon as possible so they can focus on actually surviving in the league, because they are a couple points off it, really. They really could get dragged down. Now, I don't think a team has ever won the Champions League and gone down in the same season. I mean, that would be completely unbelievable. But no, I do think Atleti will go through against Spurs over the two legs in this game. I think they'll have too much. Simeone will have too much. And I could see a nice little run for Atletico in this tree. So let me know who you think is going to win. Any odd predictions, hot takes for the Champions League this year? Like and subscribe.